This is the story of Michael Jackson, the king of pop. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on August 29, 1958 in Gary, Indiana. He was the seventh of 9 children. His father, Joe Jackson, was a steel worker, and his mother, Catherine, worked at a department store. Michael's early life was marked by poverty and racial prejudice. But he had music. When he was just 5 years old, Michael began performing with his brothers in a band called the Jackson 5. The group consisted of Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael. In 1964, they changed their name to the Jackson 6. Then 2 years later, when Michael was 12, they changed it again to the Jackson 5. By 1966, the Jackson 5 were making a name for themselves in the local music scene in Gary. They performed at talent shows and local events, and in 1967, they auditioned for a spot on the Hollywood Palace, a variety show. The Jackson 5 impressed the audience and the producers, and they were soon signed to a record deal. In 1968, the Jackson 5 released their first single, which was called It's All Right. The song reached number 1 on the R&B charts and number 43 on the Billboard Hot 100. Soon after, they released their second single, which was called ABC. This song would become one of their signature tunes. The next few years were a whirlwind for the young group. They toured extensively and released hit after hit. Some of their biggest hits during this time included I Want You Back, Can't Get It Out of My Head, and I'll Be There. In 1975, the Jackson 5 starred in their own television special called The Jackson 5 in 1975. The show featured some of their biggest hits, and it became one of the most watched specials of all time. But not everything was perfect. In 1976, Jermaine Jackson decided to leave the group and pursue a solo career. He was replaced by Randy Jackson, who was Michael's younger brother. In 1978, the Jackson 5 released their final album together, called Destiny. The group then went on an indefinite hiatus, so that Michael could focus on his solo career. Michael's solo career took off like a rocket. His first album, Got to Be There, was released in 1972. When he was only 14 years old. The album was a huge success, reaching No. 1 on the R&B charts, and No. 6 on the Billboard 200. He followed up his successful debut album with Off the Wall in 1979. The album was another huge hit, reaching No. 1 on both the R&B and pop charts. Some of the singles from the album, including Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You, became instant classics. Thriller was released in 1982 and it changed everything. The album's innovative music videos, including Billy I Beat It and Thriller, introduced a new level of artistry to the medium. Thriller went on to become the best-selling album of all time with more than 66 million copies sold. Michael's next album, Bad, was released in 1987. It was another massive success, spawning 5 #1 singles. The album's title track, Man in the Mirror and Dirty Diana, were some of the most iconic songs of the era. Dangerous was released in 1991. The album was another critical and commercial success. Some of its biggest hits included Black or White, Remember the Time, and In the Closet. In 1995, Michael released his 9th studio album, which was simply titled History. The album was a double disc set that featured 15 new songs, as well as a greatest hits collection. In 1997, Michael returned to the stage with a series of concerts in South Korea. The shows were part of his History World Tour. In 2001, Michael released his 10th studio album, Invincible. The album was a departure from his previous work, featuring a more electronic sound. Despite the change in style, the album was a commercial success, selling more than 10 million copies worldwide. In 2003, Michael announced a comeback tour called the 3T Tour. The tour was plagued by delays and eventually canceled due to low ticket sales. In 2009, Michael announced a series of concerts in London called This Is It. The concerts were planned to be Michael's biggest and most spectacular yet, but sadly, Michael died on June 25, 2009, at his home in Los Angeles. He was 50 years old. The cause of death was acute propofol and benzodiazepine intoxication. Despite his troubled personal life and legal issues, Michael's legacy as one of the greatest entertainers of all time remains intact. He was a gifted singer, songwriter, and dancer. He was also a pioneer of music videos, helping to elevate them from a promotional tool to an art form. Michael's music continues to be loved by millions of people around the world. Now let's take a look at some of the things that made Michael such an icon. The moonwalk. Michael Jackson popularized the moonwalk, a dance move that consists of sliding backwards while maintaining the illusion of walking forwards. He first performed the moonwalk in 1983 during a performance of Billie Eilish on Motown 25. The move was met with gasps and applause, and it quickly became one of the most famous dance moves of all time. His music videos. Michael Jackson's music videos were unlike anything that had come before them. They were mini movies that told a story. They also featured incredible special effects and groundbreaking choreography. Music videos became a major part of pop culture thanks to Michael Jackson. His live shows. Michael Jackson's live shows were legendary. He was known for his electrifying performances and his ability to connect with his fans. One of his most famous shows was the 1992 MTV Video Music Awards performance of Black or White. The show featured a medley of some of Michael's biggest hits, and it was one of the most watched performances of all time. His charitable work. Michael Jackson was a generous philanthropist. He donated millions of dollars to charity, and he used his fame to raise awareness for important causes. He was particularly passionate about helping children, and he established the Heal the World Foundation in 1992. The foundation provides support to children in need around the world. Michael Jackson may have died in 2009, but his legacy lives on. He is remembered as one of the greatest entertainers of all time, and his music continues to be loved by millions of people around the world. Now let's take a look at some of the scandals that plagued Michael's life. In 1993, Michael Jackson was accused of molesting a 13-year-old boy. The allegations were made by the boy's father, who claimed that Michael had abused his son on multiple occasions. Michael denied the allegations, and the case was eventually settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. In 1995, Michael Jackson was accused of plagiarizing parts of the song Smooth Criminal. The song was sued for allegedly copying parts of a song called One Nah Be Startin'. The case was thrown out in 1996, but it reignited in 2009 after Michael's death. A judge ruled that the similarities between the two songs were not substantial enough to constitute plagiarism. In 2003, Michael Jackson was accused of allowing his pet monkey to smoke a joint. The incident was captured on video, and it led to animal cruelty charges being filed against Michael. The charges were dropped in 2004 after Michael agreed to never keep a pet monkey again. In 2005, Michael Jackson was accused of molesting a teenager. The allegations were made by a former bodyguard, who claimed that Michael had groped him while he was giving him a massage. Michael denied the allegations, and the case was settled out of court. These are just some of the scandals that plagued Michael Jackson's life. Despite all the drama, Michael's legacy as one of the greatest entertainers of all time remains intact. We hope you enjoyed this biography of Michael Jackson. If you did, please subscribe to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Thanks for watching.